Good morning, everybody. And you may realize already that we're on the road today. So this is an on-the-road edition of our daily devotion. It is Friday, and it's September 4th. Today we're going to continue our journey through the third chapter of Luke, and we're going to look at verses 7 to 14 today. So we're just going to take a little bit more of a bite here than as we have been doing. So let's take a look here at Luke chapter 3, 7 to 14. So, John said to the crowds that came out to be baptized by him, "You brood of vipers, who warned you to flee from the wrath to come? Bear fruits worthy of repentance. Do not begin to say to yourselves, 'We have Abraham as our ancestor.' For I tell you, God is able from these stones to raise up children to Abraham. Even now the axe is laying at the root of the trees. Every tree, therefore, that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire." And the crowds asked him, "What then should we do?" In reply he said to them, "Whoever has 2 coats must share with anyone who has none, and whoever has food must do likewise." Even tax collectors came to be baptized, and they asked him, "Teacher, what should we do?" He said to them, "Collect no more than the amount prescribed for you." Soldiers also asked him, "And we, what should we do?" He said to them, "Do not extort money from anyone by threats or false accusations, and be satisfied with your wages." So we are continuing on, of course, from where we were yesterday. And remember, we were talking yesterday about what John was doing was a baptism of repentance and for the forgiveness of sins. And so now he has gone on and said here, let's see, bear fruits worthy. This is in verse 8. Bear fruits worthy of repentance. Now, Paul might find this, a little bit concerning what John is saying here, but John is definitely advocating, it would seem, a works-oriented thing that's going on here. But really, it's more of what James is talking about. That if you've truly repented, if you truly have, faith, if you truly believe, then you're going to do the works. And so, if your repentance, if your forgiveness, if that letting go of your old ways is in fact genuine, then you're going to bear good fruit. And if you're not bearing good fruit, well, then have you truly repented? That would be the argument I think that John has got here. He talks about raising up children for Abraham from the stones. And I think that he's definitely foreboding towards the inclusion of the Gentiles in some small way, at least, if not in a major way there. He talks about the axe being, again, at the root of the trees and about bearing good fruit. That's reminiscent of being grafted in and out of the vine that Paul talks about in Romans. So there's where we're coming from, I think, in that first part, at least in verses 7 through 9, is that if we've truly repented, that we're going to bear good fruit. That is the natural outcome of that genuine repentance. You're going to turn your back. Remember, repentance means to turn around and to return. And if you've truly turned around and returned, you're not going to be doing those bad things no more, as they say. And the crowds are then asking him what they need to do. What's a true sign of my repentance? Is basically what they're getting at there. And the true sign, John is saying, is that you're going to care for one another. Truly repentant people they love one another and they care about one another. That doesn't mean that you enable people to be slothful. That's not at all what's going on here. Rather, that if there's a genuine need, that you genuinely are to care for those that are unable to, or from whatever reason, and all of us at some point in our lives are unable to do something that we're going to need someone else to help us with. It may not be monetary, may not be physical, it may be emotional support, who knows? But the idea is that you're there for one another. And he talks to the tax collectors about, the tax collectors said, what are we supposed to do? And everybody's kind of wondering, what do we do? Well, and each of us in our professions, in our daily lives, have some way that we can bless someone else. I always say, be a blessing to someone today. And everyone has some way. We just have to search and think about it and figure out the way that we can. And what John has told to the tax collectors here is that, well, for one thing, the starters, there's obviously more you can do, but for starters, don't overcharge people on the taxes you're supposed to collect. I think we've all are aware of the whole way that the hierarchy of tax collectors work, that the Romans came in and hired chief tax collectors in the region, and those chief tax collectors paid the money up front to the Romans. Well, then the chief tax collectors would pick different people from different parts of that region, people to take care of those areas, and they may or may not have made those people that they allocated that region to, or that neighborhood to, they may or may not have had to front the money also. So the chief tax collector might have gotten paid up front also. And it just whittled down. They would hire subordinates down all the way down. So what he's saying is, when you're out there collecting those taxes, don't mark it up, because the Romans didn't care what you collected for taxes. This is what they wanted, and if you collected more, then so be it. And if each one is collecting a little bit more, it can become quite burdensome by the time you get down to the individual that's actually paying the tax. So that's the point of that message. Don't pile on. And the same with the soldiers. He's telling them, don't abuse your position for extorting money out. Careful. We're seeing some of those sayings kind of popping up, but that's political, and I'm not going to get into that. So that's where we're at today with Luke's Gospel. We've got John here, and we're getting very close to John welcoming Christ, and beginning the story where John disappears and Jesus becomes the story. So hold on to your hats. I think we'll be there to the genealogy of Christ for Monday is probably where we're going to be at. We'll finish up 15 to 18, or 19 rather, or 20, excuse me, I can't, to 21. We'll get to there tomorrow, 15 to 21. So, excuse me, tomorrow, and then on Monday we'll get into the genealogy, so don't miss that one. Watch Pastor try his best to pronounce all those names on that genealogy list. So with that, I'm going to let you go as we do this on the road edition here, and you have a blessed day, and of course, as always, be a blessing to someone today. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning.